Okay, so it's been a while since I've done anything like this. Just talking to myself, or to you guys in a sense, but mainly to myself. But I basically went on a trip to Montreal and it was very beautiful. I really enjoyed the trip and I really enjoyed Montreal. It's like a mix of New York and Paris, and it's honestly a very livable city. I would definitely want to come back and visit more. But this trip was a learning experience, I'd say, to say the least. It made me just think about life and growing up and friendships and traveling and thinking about how life's gonna go later on. Basically, this trip was it was a grad trip, and that's because I just graduated from university, which means I am not going to be doing any type of institutional studying ever again. Which in my mind is crazy because all I've been doing for like my whole life is studying. So this trip was meant to commemorate that fact that we're moving on from studying, from being a student, from that life into adulthood and the real world. And it's very scary. But I also learned a lot on this trip about the choices that you make in life. All throughout high school, I kind of just did what I needed to do to get through. I don't know if I'm proud of that per se, or I guess I was just getting through it. But along the way, I did learn about things I liked and didn't like, which was a good thing too because I got to apply that later on in life as well. But when it came to like going to university, I actually did not know where I wanted to go or why I wanted to go or what I wanted to study. And I felt like I was very stuck in life. And I was very confused and very scared. But I kind of just pushed through it and did it anyways. At first, that felt like it was the wrong decision to do because I don't know what I was doing. I don't know why I was doing it. I was in a really bad mood. But I'm glad I went through it because honestly these last 4 years have been a crazy experience, with going through COVID for 2 of them and then having the chance to go on exchange and literally living on the other side of the world for a few months and then coming back and having a whole new perspective on everything, honestly, like from how I was learning, on how I was spending my days and my friendships and life in general. My trip in Australia did change a lot, perspective-wise and mindset-wise. A thing that I learned, though, is that life is what you make of it. And I think that's very important to talk about because back in high school, I did not enjoy it, actually. I was struggling a lot in so many different ways, and I never really wanted anyone to know about that. But I had a YouTube channel back when I was a kid, in high school. Basically, I've had different YouTube channels all throughout my whole life, but in high school, I had a Sims channel. And that was kind of my outlet, my escape almost, and my way to make friends because I was pretty lonely at school, which was, again, partly my fault because I didn't really try. And I could have tried harder, but I was going through a lot of things. Social anxiety was also not good. But everything just felt easier online too. And I found some I found a creative outlet and love for just playing The Sims and creating videos and live streaming and talking with people and just getting to know people, online, obviously, because it was easier there. But that basically did teach me that I enjoyed that aspect a lot. Because it brought me out of my shell a little bit, even though it was online. I started talking more. I started being able to conversate with different people who I've never even actually met, which is crazy. But when I got into university and I tried making friends again, the cycle did not really fix because I was doing the same thing. And then when COVID hit, I had to do everything online. I had to try to make friends online. I had to try to do those things. And sometimes I feel like COVID is like the worst, but also the best thing that happened to me because it made me realize I didn't want to live life the way I was living it. And when I say your life is what you make out of it, it really is true because if you don't take opportunities and if you don't try new things or do something different or change, you're gonna be stuck doing the same thing for the rest of your life. You will, and I've noticed it. So when I finally started to work on myself in those years of the pandemic before going back to school, and then I started to go back and I actually started talking with people a little bit more. I started getting uncomfortable, and it was scary, but it actually wasn't that bad. So I was able to make friends almost, or just at least talk with people in my class. It was hard, I'm not gonna lie, because there were some classes where I still didn't talk to anyone and I was still kind of sad. But then I got the chance to go to Australia, which was really, really, really crazy. And there I was actually alone. Like, I didn't have anyone. Like, when I come home, I had my siblings I could just rely on, chat away with. But in Australia, I was alone. So I knew some people. I had my neighbor, which was really great because honestly, she's so nice and so sweet, and I could talk with her whenever. But I also needed to realize I needed to make my own friends. And I went out of my way and I actually made friends. And it was the best thing because I started living life and I started realizing I made these choices. I took the chances and I actually ended up getting my fruit of my labor. That's what you say. Yeah, that's what it's called, the saying. But it's again what you make out of it. And now thinking back to finishing school, because let's actually rewind a little. When I came back from Australia, I still had a semester left back here in Canada. And I made most of it, actually. I had classes. Some of them I didn't talk to many people, but some of them I did. And I did something different, and I had people I could chat with. Even though I didn't talk with them outside of school, it still was something better than what I was doing previously. And now that I'm graduated and I have to actually start thinking about real life, real goals, real other accomplishments that I want to do, I need to realize that I need to take those chances as well, and I need to get uncomfortable and try things that I'm not used to trying. And it also kind of freaks me out because I'm like, okay, when you're in school settings, it's easier to make friendships, right? I feel like it's hard now because what am I going to do? Where am I going to meet people? I could meet them at work, but I need to try something different. And I want to see what I end up doing because I have a lot of things on my mind, different ways to meet different people, and I want to see what I can do. And there have been moments where I've also felt stuck because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want that to happen again because I want to have something I can constantly look forward to, something I can work towards. And it is scary because now that I don't have the structure of school, it's kind of like I can do anything almost, and being given too much freedom and too many options is also a very paralyzing thing. I've dealt with that a lot, and honestly, I've never been able to do a lot because of it too. I kind of like being given things to do. It makes it easier, but I realize I need to make the choices for myself. And if I make those choices for myself, then I'll actually want to do them. It's a lot to take in because I've been thinking about this for a very, very, very long time. I also had a different experience during my trip in Montreal. I spent time with a friend there. I'm not going to go into too much detail out of respect for her and myself, but I learned a lot, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I learned a lot about the other person, and I learned about the type of person I wanted to be. And I realized that the people that I spend time with have to be people that will bring that change in me, But that's not the only purpose. I can't expect that out of anyone just to do that for me. But sometimes I realize you can also outgrow certain people or certain aspects of certain people. You can even outgrow yourself sometimes. So it just makes you think that there's certain things in life that you just don't enjoy anymore, or you want it to be different. You don't want to be stuck in that same cycle again. And maybe that's why it feels like life isn't changing, because you're still doing the same thing, still having the same conversations, and it's nothing new, and it just feels kind of sucky, to say the least. And sometimes we need to try doing different things, pushing ourselves, because again, without change, you'll be stuck in the same place that you've been. And I I don't know. So, it's hard. I understand that because it's hard for me to even do that. But there's things you have control over and things you can do. Obviously, it's a learning process. It's also, failure is bound to happen because you'll try something, you'll stick with it, or you won't. But then you just keep going back and forth until you finally start to build that habit or build that routine and discipline and cycle. And yeah, it's, again, a lot. But I've always prioritized my friendships a lot. My friends that I made in Australia were honestly, they were great. I was shocked that I met such awesome people. I was shocked that I was able to befriend these awesome people. But I'm glad I did because they taught me a lot. They also made me realize I can make friends. That I think I'm likable. And I also really, I was really sad that I had to leave them too because finding friendships like that is hard. It's hard for me. I don't know why it was easier there. Maybe it's because, again, I was trying. I did something different. But being at home, the place that you've been doing the same thing for your whole life, it's hard to break out and do something new. So I feel like I've been struggling with that. I want to meet new people, new friends. But again, it's about meeting the right people too, because you can befriend anyone, but if it's not a respectful or good relationship, then it's not worth it to spend time with that person. Yeah, it's a lot to think about. If anyone else is feeling the same way, thinking the same way, or has anything to say about this, honestly, feel free to share because I just wanted to share this with people, with myself as well, so I can look back on this and see if anything has changed or if anything's different. But yeah, again, everything these thoughts kind of sparked from the Montreal trip, and honestly, again, love Montreal. It's great. I love traveling in general. I love traveling. You get to go to new places, new experiences, new food, new people. And again, maybe that's something that I'm not too scared of, that kind of change, because it's something new and I'm looking forward to it. And I always have somewhere to come back to, which is home. But again, I guess this talk is all about change and growing. And I just want to be hopeful for the future. I want to grow up into the person that I want to be, and a person that's proud of who they are and helps others, and that my parents are proud of, and that my family's proud of, and that I can create my own family one day too. Yeah, just a lot of random thoughts, but I'm hoping that I can get there one day. And again, embrace change. Orooj, embrace change. You got this. I gotta give myself a little pep talk at the end of any video, because it makes me feel better. Okay, and you got this as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you learned something out of it. Bye!